heard.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Whispers podcast, NBA trade update, halfway point. As always, I'm joined by Nick. How are you, Nick?
Good, mate. How are you?
Good. Well, been a while since we've got together.
When that was pre-Christmas, wasn't it? The Christmas Day extravaganza.
Yes, and I think there were some nice results from memory. Lakers to lead halftime into the Mavs full time. I can't remember the others, but that was my biggest collect.
Joel Embiid over 30 points was one.
Yeah.
Because we had him. He was playing the Knicks, and he did what he normally does against the Knicks and played pretty well and got the chocolates.
Yep.
There was a couple other. I can't remember the others.
No, but it was
We must have lost. That's why I can't remember.
we can't because Joe Morant stunk it up against Golden State.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was your Monty too. That was the I think I put
plus
that as
13, but I think they lost by 13.
Yeah.
So I was right. It was a 13 result, but anyway, we put it behind us. And as I said, this podcast, we're going to update you with the trades. Obviously, everyone knows about it, but we're just going to give our thoughts on how we think they're going to go moving forward, moving into the play-in/playoffs, how we think the playoffs will shape. And I'm going to put a $100 strategy on the line because I'm a sicko and I love to have a punt. We'll kick things straight off, Nick. We're at the halfway point, but we'll start off with the All-Star game. What were your thoughts on it? I think you've got to break it into two sections. I think the celebrity game, the three-point game, the skills, good, watchable.
Dunk contest in that.
Dunk contest is slowly fading, I reckon, just because it's no big names.
Yeah.
Back when the mid-90s, early 2000s, we had the big names doing it. So it's still got merit, but I think the All-Star game needs to change. It's cooked. It was the most embarrassing, cringe-worthy game I've ever watched in history, and I didn't even know what I was watching in the end.
No, even the coaches, Mike Malone said after it, he goes, that was not basketball. That was just like an open gym.
Yep.
Not even an exhibition game, because in exhibition games, people play a little bit harder.
Yep.
How do you fix it? So, what do you do? So I remember when I was a kid in the 90s, the All-Star game, we used to tape it and I'd watch it a handful of times every week. Like, I absolutely fucking loved it. Now, on the flip side, if you were to record this weekend's game, that would be like torture putting a kid in watching that 5 times a week. That is so disgusting to watch and no fun and just really boring. So how do you fix it? Have you got any ideas? I've got a couple I'll throw at you and let me see if it...
throw them. I've got no idea.
Okay, so a couple of the things they're looking at or a couple of things the media are talking about is the potential of having a USA team versus an international team. There's enough talent in the NBA now. The best 3 players in the league are all non-American, so Joel Embiid, Luka, Nikola Jokic, not Ben Simmons. Do you go back to like the traditional East versus West, and then you put like a little baseball spin on it, where I think in the baseball, the 2 leagues or divisions, whoever wins the All-Star game gets a preferential treatment in the playoff seeding in some way, so then everyone's kind of fighting for that mutually potentially beneficial slot in the finals. That's an option. Or do you scrap it for the next, the World Cup's exciting because it's every 4 years.
Yeah.
Would the All-Star game be really cool if you only did it every 2 or 4 years and you alternated between East and West and international? So you have like the international versus USA. They're playing for a lot of money for charity. How do you get the owners to get on board as well? Because you don't want Luka Doncic. If I'm Mark Cuban, I don't want Luka Doncic busting a butthole in the 4th quarter of an All-Star game and putting himself in jeopardy when you've got a playoff run coming up. So what do you find? What do you do? Money is an incentive. Donating to charity is an incentive. These guys probably just want a break. Like, they're the best players in the league. How do you balance that all out? So what are of those ones, what tickled your pickle?
I'm with you with the USA v Internationals, especially every second year probably. I think maybe we've got to go back to East versus West. I know did they scrap it because the East was stocked and the other side wasn't, or the West was stacked?
I think the West was stacked for a long time with top line talent.
Yeah.
And some of the guys that got All-Star, that made All-Star teams over that early 2000s aren't really guys that you would say, wow, he was like Devin Harris, like a 2-time All-Star or an All-Star.
Yep.
Good player, but maybe not. Sorry to Devin Harris if you're watching. maybe not like something you'd think was an all-star talent.
Yeah,
If you look back on their careers.
Yeah, it's a hard one because you can't throw more money at them because they've already earning enough. And as you said, you do not want to see injured players. But you look at the 90s, no one ever got injured when they were playing, and they were going at full crack.
Yeah, they're exciting games. Like they were like competitive, like a kind of what you'd hope to see in a normal basketball game. Like there's a little bit of within the first quarter there'd always been like some highlights and stuff like that. But then you didn't have to wait till 3 minutes to go in the game if it was close for it to be a contest worth watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix it. I don't know whether you scrap it and make it more enticing for players to play every 2 years so there's an actual want to be. A lot of players didn't want to be there. Like it's, unless it's your home state where it's being played, it's not attractive. Like they're knackered, they need a break, and they've got a big run coming up. So if you make the playoffs or you make the finals, you're playing into early June.
Yeah.
So that's another 4 months of basketball every 2 or 3 days, or sometimes daily.
Yeah, it's
a bit of a break.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm all for scrapping it completely. Definitely make it a skills weekend with your big players like LeBron, Lillard, all of them. Get them all involved, playing horse, playing even half-court basketball.
They used to do horse back in like
3-on-3. Like 3-on-3 is growing. Like do something like that. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable. That wasn't fun. That wasn't enjoyable. That was. If I paid for a ticket, I'd be
shattered.
Oh, it's
because the hard thing is like even if you do a 3-on-3, right? Whether you make it a team 3-on-3 or a all-star 3-on-3, you're still gonna have the same issue with the all-star stuff. Is if you, Kyrie and Luka all were on the same team.
Yep.
You're gonna take the piss. You're not gonna like unless you're playing for something. There's
Yeah.
nothing motivating, that's the big challenge.
Yeah, 100%. It's a tough one for them, and they get paid the big bucks, the
Like us.
executives, and they've got to work it out because it's really dying on its ass. But it's the same with Gridiron. They've sort of changed their Pro Bowl, which is the All-Star for them. They've changed it up with like flag football. They're trying something different, so they've got to do something different here because, it's become redundant, pretty much.
Agreed.
Like a lot of basketball players this year. All right, we'll kick things off here with going through some trades here. We'll go through just the major ones, not the little ones. We'll kick off with the side I enjoy watching now is the Lakers. Out Beverly, out Westbrook, Bryant, and Nunn. There's some big outs, and they recruited heavily for these guys 2 years this year as well. In Russell, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Hachimura.
I love the way you pronounce it. Vanderbilt.
Yep.
And Hachimura.
Yep.
And Mo.
Bamba.
And
then 2 second-round picks and a first-round pick, I think, gone as well.
Yeah, they did give up the first to get rid of Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. I thought it was a good trading performance. It looked very bleak for a long time. It thought, especially missing out on Irving, we'll touch on that interesting saga. They've clearly upgraded their list as Bryant and Westbrook were just serviceable. Bryant was getting better with Davis out. So it was interesting that he wanted out, especially he wanted more minutes. I understand that, but yeah, I thought he'd hang around. That's okay. We got a good young player, I think. Now they got Russell. Now he comes back a bigger, better player, experience. Yeah, there's a lot of cash coming from him.
31 million this year is on.
Yep. So that's a big risk, but they're looking to extend him. So that's a good sign. We're not going to just get him and ship him out, or he'll go elsewhere. He's been good first couple of games. Hachimura,
good boy.
Looks a good talent with the ball. I think he's a really good player. He was really good 2 years ago. Dropped off a little bit now, but if they give him the ball, I think he's really good. I
reckon he'll find a role there. I think he'll be playing some substantial minutes when it matters.
He finds good spots. There's been a couple of times at the death, he's been wide open, hasn't been seen, and I think it might be a ploy for LeBron just, and then when it comes serious towards the end, when games are really getting on, they'll start using him, I reckon, because he'll be the decoy, he'll be all open. I think he's going to be good for the team. So, yeah, I think they've added some good scorers to their list, some good size to the list. I think they've got rid of a lot of players that weren't scoring, and they've added scorers to the list. If LeBron goes down or, goes on the bench, we've got depth now. We haven't got these players only scoring 6 points, 3 points, run around like headless chooks and think they're actually good. I just feel that this roster can make playoffs if they get it right.
So play in, guaranteed then?
I think we'll touch on that a bit later because
So there's only 22 more games to go in the season, or 23. Yep. So as they stand right now, they're outside of the play-in.
Yep, 2 and a bit, I think.
Yeah, so they're closing in nicely. So the first big question I got for you: do you miss Pat Bev? Are you?
Oh.
There's 3 Lakers singlets onto to Sammy's right. So LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Davis.
Yep.
Have you taken your Pat Bev one down? Or?
No, I didn't want to buy one. I think it was one of the worst signings we've ever had. Yeah, it might be good on D, but you got to be a 2-way player. You can't be a 1-way player anymore.
He'll go to your Bulls later on, so he'll make a big difference and hopefully help with my slab for the end of the year that I'll be happy to drink in front of you.
Yeah, he's got a lot to say already. He said he can't wait to knock us out of the playoffs. So, yeah, I think he's a bit of an issue, which is good. Westbrook leaving, I'm quite happy. I just think he's shot. He's not running the ball anymore. He just shoots.
How was the last game? Did you watch the LeBron? So his last game for Lakers was the LeBron breaking the Kareem's record.
Yeah.
Man, his body language, his read of the script or the play for the night he was in his own world.
Yeah.
So too was Anthony Davis as well. That was weird. So that was.
I reckon he got wind he was getting traded.
110%. I reckon he was on the block for Kevin Durant.
Yeah. And
they spoke about it, and he found out. And if you see, there's some footage where LeBron does the fadeaway over Kendrick Williams, and hits his points. All the Lakers, the whole crowd, everyone's got every walking his dog's got his phone out, and AD's sitting there sulking, barely lifted a leg to fart to get off the bench to clap for him. It was just, and for how close they're meant to be, that was really average. So I reckon, no sources obviously, but I think that he was on the block for KD when that was getting flirted with, because they obviously missed out on Kyrie, and they knew what was happening at the Nets. So, but I think still any team with those 2 players, they're going to be incredible and fun to watch. They're still Davis. When he rounds back into form, and fingers crossed he doesn't get injured like he sadly usually consistently does. If they can stay healthy for the next 20 games, they'll make a good push. They're a fun matchup to watch. If they had to play Denver or even Phoenix, if they make it into one of the top 2 seeds, that's good viewing. That's good fun. That's a good challenge. So
time will tell. Phoenix Suns. Well, boy, was this one interesting. Out Bridges, Johnson, Crowder, four first-round picks in Durant and TJ Warren. Am I right in saying that?
Yep. You didn't butcher one pronunciation there either.
We're on the ball. We start with one. There was a fair bit leading, I reckon, out of this. Did they give up too much for Durant?
They did get rid of Crowder.
Yep.
He cracked the shits and didn't want to play because his minutes were ironically getting taken over by Cam Johnson and Bridges. They moved Johnson up to the starting spot and told Crowder that he's sitting on the pine on Christopher a bit more this season. So again, that didn't really impact him at all. But losing Bridges is, and I'll touch on him when we get to the Nets. He's a really good player on both ends. He's going to have a lot of opportunity in Brooklyn.
Yep.
Johnson's a great shooter. He's still growing as a player. He's fun to watch. Four first-round picks. I'm not sure how down the track they are, but normally you can't trade back-to-back picks. So it'd be like next year, then say 23, then 25, then 27, 29. So that's a long time away. So you look at the age of Durant, Chris Paul. I dare say they won't be on the Phoenix Suns in 2029, so they may be worth a little bit. So, which is ironic because the Nets did a shit trade with Boston years and years ago, which cost them. They brought in Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce.
Yep.
And those picks they swapped out ended up being Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So they've turned out to be okay, I guess. So that might bite them on their ass, but. They also, the other one with the Suns, they picked up Terrence Ross, so he got brought out by the Orlando Magic. Yep. He's a good player. He's still pretty sneaky outside shooter, still gets to the hole really well, gives them a little bit of backcourt depth. I like him. And straight away, as soon as he played the first couple of minutes from the other night, on the court, steal, good assist. He's going to be good. He's going to be a nice little filler. What I'm nervous about with the Suns, though, big man depth. I love Jock Londale. I mentioned this in the last podcast we did. He's a ripper, obviously because he's an Aussie. His Mac Biombo plays his ass off. He plays really, really hard. But after that, they're really, really lean when it comes to big man talent and depth. And behind Ayton and Durant's a little bit injury prone now as he's getting a little bit older. I'm a little bit concerned. I think they may be in the Serge Ibaka buyout market or whoever else pops up. There's a few decent talented players in that space at the moment. So that's my biggest concern with them. They got the offensively, and their starting five is as good as any starting five in the league. So you got Chris Paul, Booker, Torian Craig, former NBL player, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. That is a very, very strong starting five. But then when you start peeling back, it gets a little bit. Terrence Ross, Cam Payne, who else have you got? There's a couple other wing players that aren't as impactful coming through. Shamet, I think, is still there. So, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit nervous for their big man depth.
Yeah, especially if they'll play playoffs, and if they go to 6-game series, 7-game series, that could be interesting. Because Chris Paul isn't reliable with his body anymore. So that's one risk. But they'll definitely go far. They were struggling in the first half of the year. They were sitting in that playing out as well. Yeah.
And remember, they got smashed in not the Western Conference, but the semis to get into they got smashed by who was it? The Mavs.
Yep.
By like 40 points or something.
Yeah, and they were leading they were leading most of the series and most of the games. I think they deserve to be favourite. Anywhere where Durant goes, he deserves to be favourite. We'll touch on where they sit in the playoffs and where we think they'll end up. We'll touch on that later.
So if I told you there were $3.25 to come out of the West, would you put a couple of shekels on it? So to win the West, to make the NBA Finals. $3.25.
It's a big. I reckon you'd have to wait for 2 weeks to see how Durant fits.
He will fit in. He's the
he'll fit in.
I'll butcher this word, malleable player of the top talent superstars in the NBA. Will slide into any team, and you don't have to redo your schemes. Defensively, he's still good.
Yeah.
Still rebounds, still passes the ball really well. He's still an amazing, top level shooter, scorer, facilitator. He's the key. He's absolutely. I can't wait to see him in the Suns uniform, by the way. Especially the old school 90s, like the Barkley era.
Do you reckon Kevin Johnson's bringing out his jersey? Number 7? Not bad.
He'll look good at Danny Ainge one, I reckon. Number 22.
But if they stay fit, they're definitely a contender. They deserve to be favourite, I'll say that. As I said, Durant to any team, they're going to be going well. I want to see it. I want to see how they go. He's a bull who wants the ball, so does Booker. Sometimes Paul wants it too. I know Paul can take that backward step, and he's going to take the ball halfway up, but it's just at the end of the game who's going to take the last shot. We know Durant should, but is Booker the type to just lay down and pass it over?
It's going to be interesting. I'm going to give you a quiz. Name 3 other all-star point guards that Kevin Durant has played with in his NBA career.
Steph Curry.
Yep.
I'm trying to think where he started his career. Russell Westbrook.
Yep.
And Kyrie Irving.
Done well. It was a little bit of a lobby. You did well. We got there.
Yeah, I did. If Westbrook didn't play for the Lakers, I wouldn't have got it.
No.
All right, we'll move to the Nets. Irving decided to pull the pin. I was shocked. I was. And then the domino effect happened. Durant out, Warren out, part of that trade. Morris out, part of the...
Where did Morris go? I can't remember.
I've got him somewhere in this thread, so stay with me. I reckon he was packaged up somewhere. Maybe in the Irving trade. In was DeWitty, Finney Smith.
Yep.
5 first-round picks the Nets get, Bridges and Johnson. Clearly the Nets had a fire sale after Irving shocked them, I think. I think it was a shock that he wanted to get out. He wanted to go to the Lakers. The owner said, no, fuck you, you're not going.
Yep.
Which, interesting. I don't know what to think of that. But what I'm more interested in is, since they had the fire sale, why wasn't Simmons offloaded?
They can't get rid of him.
Because of the salary.
Both. Because he's
cooked.
Again, love the Australians, but
he's cooked.
He's fucked at the moment.
Yeah.
He's mentally
gone.
they can't, like the coach, Jacques Vaughan, was at a press conference like a week ago and just said, you put him with this lineup, it doesn't work. You put him in this lineup, it doesn't work. You put him in this lineup, it doesn't work. He really needs to get back to basics now. It's really sad. So he's lost all confidence. He's not going to the cut the hole hard. Defensively, he's still pretty good. But it's just sad. It's sad to watch. It's just like watching an old horse run around a track. It's just doesn't have it at the moment. And he's got the still got the physique. Obviously got the brains. Like he still passes pretty well, but it's just
he moves the ball well. But it's just he then gets in the hole with it, and then goes. As soon as he gets it, you see him shit himself. Go, no, what am I doing?
He's scared to get fouled.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get down that path, mentally, you've got to break it. You've got to go. Well, what's the worst thing? I missed 2 foul shots. I get booed. People laugh at me. Go again. Giannis did it. He hit fucking 15 of 19 in the game 5 or game 6 or 7 of the finals a couple of years back. You just got to keep persisting, keep working. It's sad. So he's got that huge contract, 4 more seasons of 30 plus million a year. He's coming off the bench now. He played like 10 minutes or 15 minutes the other night. Doesn't mix like that to kind of cater to him, as I mentioned before, with the lineup side of things. It's really sad. But on the flip side, the Nets kind of look like what the Nets look like pre-Irving, pre-Durant, pre-Harden, I guess. They're fun. They're young. Got a bit of up and about them. Bridges. He's the best pickup out of, obviously, I'd rate him over Cam Johnson. He's going to play a lot of minutes. He's a good player on both ends of the ball. He's exciting. He's going to get a lot of minutes. He's durable as well. I think he hasn't missed a game for 3 or 4 years, up until the trade when they kind of had to sit him out for a game. So he's one to keep an eye on from a punting point of view, if we try to bring it back to where we should be. Go overs with him. Have a look what he's sitting at. If he's he's down for like 17 or 18 points, I'd have a crack at that because I think they're going to run a lot of the offense through him, and he's going to play big minutes. And they're in that mix for the playoffs at the moment. They're sitting 5th, so he's not going to get benched. He's not going to sit out games, as mentioned. So I would keep an eye on him for overs on the scoring options if they're around that 17 to 18 mark.
Yeah, I'm just looking at their roster now. Like, there's not many scoring options. Joe Harris, obviously a good 3-ball. I'm surprised he stayed. Like, I thought he was.
I think his contract's still pretty healthy. Like, as in
18 million.
Yeah.
So, but he looked like he wanted out. He looked like he was going.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there, but there's not much ball that will go through anyone else. Maybe DeWitty a little bit, but
so Dinwiddie, he'll be the one that will probably command most of it, apart from Bridges. Cam Thomas as well. He had like 3 40-point games in a row in between that Durant and Irving trade period. You got Finney-Smith. He's a decent wing. Obviously, they then Johnson and Bridges, and then still got Mills, Seth Curry. I reckon one of them, depending on what happens, if they're not getting minutes, I reckon Patty Mills might get brought out, and that happens in the next week or so. There's another window of opportunity for players to negotiate their way out of the teams if they're not getting minutes, and they think they can help other playoff pushing teams like what Kevin Love did to go to Miami. So he'll play some minutes for them. He'll probably knock Caleb Martin out of the forward spot there. So again, I think those type of opportunities for guys like Patty Mills that mightn't be getting on the court much. We'll see. I doubt it, but this is something to keep an eye on for that type of ilk of scorer or impact player that might not be fully utilised where they are at the moment.
Okay. Question off the cuff: does Ben Simmons end up in the NBL?
I reckon he might be too proud.
Too arrogant?
Both.
He won't be allowed in Crown Casino again.
What did he do there? I can't remember that
He was wearing camouflage. And he not allowed to wear camouflage.
They couldn't see him?
Yeah, they couldn't see him. And kicked up a russ and played the coloured card to the security guards. And So do you reckon he plays NBL?
No.
No?
I reckon...
Well, no one's going to pay big dollars to have him out.
No, it'd be more like a... So I see guys like Joe Ingles, like what Della Vedova did last season. I see those type of Australian players coming back to play because they know what it means to come back and play for your local club, like Ryan Broekhoff and all those guys.
Andrew Bogut.
They know why it's so important, whereas I think the way he sees life, it's all about him, and he doesn't understand that what that would mean to the Australian kids and stuff like that to play. It'd be amazing. Like, it'd be so good. Like you look at Dwight Howard now. It's a totally different example, but Dwight Howard's in Taiwan at the moment.
Yeah, and shooting threes.
Shooting threes. But
47 a game.
look at the crowds that go watch him. Like, if Ben Simmons flames out of the NBA, he honestly might flame out in the next year or so. Because if he keeps going the trajectory he's going right now,
2 years.
they may trade his contract to a club like Houston, as an example, that have taken on shitty contracts over the years, and try to rehabilitate him. And then if not, see you later. So he may be his only option, but I don't know. It'd be exciting to have him over here, but I'm sad that we're talking about it because he's such a talent.
Yeah, I think on the last podcast I said that he was back to his old best, and that went down well.
Yeah.
By me.
Definitely, like a PSA. Do not ever bet on him, ever, please. Do you want any Clippers stuff now, or you?
No, Mavs.
Mavs, yep.
So out, Dean Whitty, Finney Smith, first round picks, 2 second round picks in Irving and Morris.
There he is.
Now, I'm going to play my own trumpet here. Last podcast, what did I request from the Mavs?
They need some help.
They need some help, and I said A-grade player. What did you say? Wouldn't happen?
Did you call Corey an A-grade? Okay, he's all set. So. I don't think they'd have anything to give up.
Correct.
For him, but
yeah, no, you're 100% right. And how they have only just given up that to get even Morris is still a serviceable player. I think it's well done by Cuban. Big clap. He has done exceptionally A+, only because I've had money on the Mavs at our last podcast. So, did you see the game where, I don't know, it was game 1 or 2
Sacramento.
Irving, yeah, and last 11 seconds they had the ball.
hot potato.
Yeah, jeez, that looked ugly, and it does happen. They don't know each other. They don't know who's gonna. Obviously, Doncic was happy to give it to him to show the love. Irving's going, no, this is your team.
Yeah.
You do it. It was funny to watch, but it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it
And
has.
the defense on that was sorry, it was against Minnesota, not
Yes.
Sacramento.
But the defense was A+.
Defense was amazing.
Yeah.
So, but I know the hot potato was interesting, but their scoring, man, they're going to be so much fun to watch offensively. And you throw some good. They got some good outside shooters. Cleveland will come back. Bertans are still there.
Yep.
Hardaway Jr. can get hot. Like today, I think he had 22 in today's game.
Yep.
They've got some really good offensive talent. Christian Wood up to no good. He can be good. Their centers are shit. Like no Wood can play center, but Powell's a rim runner, same as McGee.
Yeah.
But defensively, they're going to leak points. So from a punting PSA point of view, have a look at the overs for them.
Yeah.
Total,
as in total score.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, total score. So they will score a lot. Like today, they had 146. That's a big score. And then defensively, as I mentioned, they're going to leak points. So they're going to try to outscore people. So definitely keep an eye on that with particular matchups with decent teams.
Yeah.
For the next couple of weeks, I'll be keeping an eye on that side of things and betting the over where applicable.
Plus, Mavs only get 1 year out of him.
Yeah,
So there's
he
no
can sign with the Knicks
guarantees.
next year.
He won't. So this is make or bust, I think, because they've given away Dinwiddie and Finney Smith.
Yep.
Okay, only a first round pick. That's not going to hurt them too much because they've still got Doncic there. But it still leaves a hole for next year. So they've got to work hard. Look, he's already said he'd love to sign an extension. But I think he's only saying that to keep him happy. So
Except like the last 3 clubs he played at, teams he played at. So
I think we all know where he's going to end up, and that's the problem.
it's not a problem for you.
No, but it might be.
You'd be happy with 2 dicks.
I'm happy with the trade. I'm happy where I sit with the championship. They're going to win. Well, we'll go through the playoff picture. So big tick, big result for them. Make or bust.
Yep.
That's the easiest way to put it. At least with like the Suns, they got 2 years with that, potentially.
More. Yeah, because Durant's got another 3 or 4 years left.
Yeah. So
Paul's got another 2 or 3 years left, and then Booker and Ayton just signed a long term. I think Booker's signed a long term as well. So those core 4 players, and they'll get players. Phoenix is like a destination club.
yeah, now they are.
They're like Essendon
Oh,
or Port Adelaide.
jeez.
People want to play there. I don't know whether the taxes are good or anything like that, but from a cultural and proximity point of view, Phoenix is attractive. Yeah.
All right, Clippers. Wowee. This wasn't on the agenda until really late because they were very active very late. Out Reggie Jackson, out John Moore. I think that's a big shock. I thought he was okay, serviceable, without being damaging. But when you have year out of the game and you're a bit older, you're not going to be that dynamic, fast-paced player that he was. But I thought he still had some serviceable minutes with that club.
Do you reckon he'll pop back somewhere? He'll pop up somewhere or not?
Oh, he's been. Where did he go back to? The Rockets.
No, he got traded back to the Rockets, but they won't.
Yeah.
They're like what I mentioned before. They've got a lot of salary sitting there not playing because they're trying to facilitate good draft picks.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope he does. I think he deserves these spots. I don't know where though. That's the key. The teams we're talking about all have reasonable point guards.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think he'd be a decent backup point guard or third stringer.
Yeah. Yep.
He still passes pretty well. I think he's just his shooting. It's always been, apart from a couple of good seasons in Washington back in the day, his shooting's still a little bit average. So getting the ball at the court, but his decision making can be a little bit shit at times. But the mate for 10-15 minutes in a playoff game.
In Gordon from the Houston Rockets, Plumlee and Westbrook. I thought this is interesting. Westbrook adds good pace, not as quick what he is, but he still adds good pace when he runs the ball. His shooting is absolutely shot. He's dead set no good. We spoke about it before. So if he plays a role of just bringing it up, making plays, obviously taking the open shot if, or lay up anything that he wants to do.
Don't force it.
Yeah, correct. Perfect wording, mate. Don't force it. He'll be okay. But it's his ego that's going to get him in a lot of trouble.
So he's playing with Paul George, and they obviously played together in OKC. They get along really, really well.
Yep.
So I think from that might calm him down a little bit.
Yep.
He never looked happy as a Laker.
Yep.
At all, because I don't know, for whatever reason. But the season before he went to the Lakers, he played for Washington, and he was actually really good. They made the playoffs from memory.
Yep.
Him and Beal had a good connection.
Yep.
I think it might be the right environment for him.
Yep.
So Leonard, Paul George.
Yep.
They're not your typical superstar personalities. They're very mild-mannered and let their work do the talking. I think that's a good fit for him. A lot of people didn't like it from a media point of view. I don't mind it. I reckon it was better than him going to Chicago and probably falling back into the trap he had at the Lakers, I would say.
Yep.
I think it's a good fit. I don't think if he goes there and doesn't try to, like what you said, or like what I said, let the game come to you. Don't force it too hard. But on the Clippers, so looking from a playoff point of view, their rotation's fucking really, really good. Like they're starting 5: Kawhi, PG, Zubac, Morris Senior, and Terrence Mann.
Yep.
Backups: Norman Powell, Westbrook, Bones Highland from Denver, who I had as the 6th man of the year, or no, most improved at Christmas, and he got traded because apparently he's a wreck son of a bloke. Mason or Miles Plumlee, I can't remember which one. Mason. He's a really good player, apart from his left-hand shooting, which looks awkward as fuck.
Have you heard how he got to left hand? So hurt his right hand, so he couldn't action
physically,
it. So he said, I've just got to go left-handed.
Yep.
And felt so good that when his hand recovered, he's like, I'm just going to stick with it.
Because he started doing foul shots with the left hand, and he's a good player. Like he still passes well.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking he might end up back at Denver.
Yes.
Because he used to play for Denver back in the day.
Yep.
But I think the Clippers did really well picking him up because he's a much better backup big than the ones they had previously.
Yep.
Eric Gordon from Houston, great pickup, former Clipper as well. Covington and Batum. So they've got some really flexible. That's 12 players.
Yeah.
So for a playoff matchup, depending if you're going against the Nuggets or you're going against the Suns, you've got a good mix and match group there. Especially with like Covington as well as a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. I like it. I really like it.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously Kawhi Leonard's not going to play the minutes that he used to, and he can just fit in.
He's getting better too. His trajectory of late is Very strong.
They're my team for the 100-1 with a certain new company.
Yep.
$10 on. So
Better get there quickly.
I'm quite happy with their new players. So
no, I like it. I like their depth.
Unfortunately, the West is stacked, so they're unfortunately going to have to go through a lot of teams.
Yep.
The Bucks, just out. Ibaka, I think he's redundant. He's done. He's finished. I don't know why, but in Crowder. Now, he hasn't played for half a year, and we know from the Smalls how they have dropped away from not playing for a year. What's he going to be like? Obviously, he's going to be okay physically, but it's just the actual match simulation.
So apparently he's still in good nick, a bit like ourselves. He's still, skin folds are amazing. But he's going to, no matter how much you train, until you actually get in games and get hit a few times, and he's a physical player as well. He's going to do that. Well, it's obvious he's going to play that PJ Tucker role that PJ played there during their championship run. He'll be great at that. He's made of the right stuff. He can hit some outside shots occasionally. A little bit of familiarity with Joe Ingles. They played together in in Utah. He's starting to play as well. He's playing okay. Middleton's playing pretty well. Lopez is playing really well, and Giannis is
being Giannis.
Amazing. So they're starting to round out nicely, in my little humble opinion.
They're going to be just same again. The Bucks. It just depends at the pointy end of the playoffs how they're going to adapt, because they stunk it up late, didn't they?
Well, sadly, the biggest thing for this time of the season is all the exciting stuff's happened, like the trades. You got the buyout market that it doesn't really impact the championship. A team might pick up a play here and there, but it doesn't really ultimately impact that much. But it's exciting to talk about. Injuries. Every one of these teams are subject to it. So that's where the news, you start getting the feeds come up on your Instagram and Bleacher Report stuff, and you're like, fuck, he's injured, or he's out for 3 weeks, or he's out for 4 weeks, or he's missed the rest of the season. So that's going to be the real difference maker, and why I'd be hesitant in backing teams outside of Boston and Milwaukee, to be honest, at this stage.
Good point, because there's a lot of aging rosters. And look at Boston, they're very young, so you actually make a very good point. I like it.
It's only taking, what time is that? 7:15. It's only taking 14 hours to get there, so...
The Knicks, mate, talk us through it. I'm you're best to talk. I'm going to stay.
Right, so they gave up Cam Reddish and a first-round pick to get Josh Hart in, and a couple other ancillary players that weren't really playing at all, like Mikhailuk, to get Josh Hart. And Josh Hart's bounced around a little bit, former Laker, New Orleans, and obviously was at Portland in his last stint. He's a really good rebounder, but he lost his mojo a little bit shooting from the outside in Portland. It was a little bit weird. So he used to play at Villanova with Jalen Brunson. They were in the same college teams. I think they won a championship, potentially, I think, when they were in college. So the Knicks may have proactively placated Brunson a little bit there and get one of your boys back in, one of your mates. And already within the first 2 or 3 games, it looks like Tibbs trusts Josh Hart more than he trusts RJ Barrett. So he's played, Josh Hart already had 1 game where he shot 27 or something like that, 27, 28. He's a really good basketballer, gets the right spots, and he hit 5 threes in one of the games. So the deficiency he had in Portland, it seems like as soon as he came to the east coast of the States, he's on the right side of the seaboard. But it's exciting. Brunson's been so good to watch. To bring one of his mates in, Randall's obviously an all-star. Just trying to think. Sims has been okay. Just trying to think about backup big. Hartenstein, he's played pretty well in the absence of Mitchell Robinson. And then our little guards, like guards Grimes, Quickly played really well. McBride's done really well. Will we get out of the first round if we make the playoffs? I doubt it. But will we give a team a really good shake? I think so as well. I think they will. So not just building. They're waiting for that next superstar. They're waiting for that. They've got the pieces there to attack. They've got the future draft, a lot of future draft picks ready to rock and roll. They're waiting for the next Kevin Durant or the next, maybe not Donovan Mitchell, but that next tier up.
Try and offer the...
whether it's Joel Embiid, Karl Anthony Towns, one of those guys that say, fuck, I want to get out of here and
I wouldn't want Carl Anthony Towns.
I'd take Joel Embiid. So yeah, so I think they're just waiting for that, and similar to what the Nets were a couple of years ago, where they had the nice pieces and were able to bring in and keep the salary cap in the right spot.
Yep.
They're playing the slow game, but it's good fun to watch. Like as I said, this season's been really good. They've exceeded expectations from a wins point of view, and I honestly can't see that subsiding.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. You just need that A grade player, don't you?
Yeah, that's
Just-
it. So, but that's the thing. Randall's played obviously at all-star level, but then the concern with him is the year we made the playoffs.
Yep.
He shat the bed. He actually got demolished against Atlanta. So, but not to say he hasn't improved, or he didn't last year or the year before, but this season's been really good. He's a fun one to watch from a punting point of view as well. He racks up the stats.
Yeah.
Him and Jalen Brunson, from a stats point of view, very, very point, rebound and assist friendly.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Just need that A grade player, mate, and you'll be okay. Playoff picture. So the West, Nuggets lead, Grizzlies. So I've typed this up a couple of days ago, so don't at me if they're just a little bit wrong. So Nuggets is currently seed 1, Grizzlies 2, Kings 3, Clippers 4, Suns 5, Mavericks 6, Pelicans 7, Timberwolves 8, Warriors 9, Thunder 10, and the Jazz, Trailblazers, Lakers are the only 3 chances to make the play-in. Is there any changes to the play-in currently?
The Lakers go up. Pelicans may come down.
Thunder?
I like the Thunder.
Okay.
Yeah, I still like the Thunder. I don't think they're in a really interesting spot. They obviously have tanked the last few years.
Yes.
Even today, they got done by lost to the Jazz today in overtime. They obviously clearly had a chance to win.
Yep.
They're still playing really hard. They're not resting. I thought they may be at risk to rest Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yes.
When we spoke in December, I thought that was a risk of why you wouldn't bet on him for most improved player.
Yep.
They are so much fun to watch. Giddy's like a Luka Doncic light, like a mid-strength Luka Doncic. He's fun to watch. Jalen Williams is amazing. They're good.
Yep.
They're so good. I want to see them get that experience, like what the Suns did a few years ago. When they were in the bubble and they just missed out in the play-in or playoffs. In that experience of every game meaning something. You've got to keep building towards it. I don't want to see the Jazz there. Trailblazers can they would be good for them to subside a little bit.
Well, they were seed 1 when we did our last podcast, weren't they? On top of the West.
Yeah, they had a strong start, but yeah, it's been interesting. Like I'd like to see the Lakers sneak in just from an entertainment point of view.
Yep.
So, yeah. So
So in that bracket of 6 now, is there many changes to that 6? So Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings, Clippers, Suns, Mavericks.
I'd say from a talent point of view, you'd probably think the Kings may slip out.
Yep.
But they've been consistent. So they've got 2 all-star players in their team. They're the only risk out of that group, I'd say. The Nuggets are consistent. Grizzlies have gone through a few battles together.
Yep.
Clippers, as we mentioned before, their 12-man depth is as good as any in the league.
Yep.
Suns we've spoken about. Mavs concern me a little bit.
Yep.
Pelicans, Zion's still out. Obviously an amazing talent, ripper to watch, but not much fun. I actually brought his shoes for basketball. I'm not wearing them right now, but they're falling apart. Legit, it's not a piss take. They have fallen apart within a couple of months. It's a little bit like him. So it's where it's disappointing. So it's true, sadly. Yeah. So
sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but it's quite.
I thought they were trending well. Sorry, Banger. I reckon they're heading the other way. Timberwolves with Conley losing Russell, bringing Conley in. That's not a bad result. He pairs well with Rudy Gobert in the last couple of years of their time at the Jazz. Towns is to come back in. Anthony Edwards' trajectory is still the right way going. Then you got the Warriors.
Well, they stunk it up today against the Lakers, but they didn't have
No Curry.
But Lakers handed them a arse whooping. But from me looking at, surely the Kings are going to come back at some stage. Yes, they're playing good ball, but with the additions that Clippers, Suns, and Mavericks have now, Kings didn't make a move. Now, there's only 1.5 games between the Kings and the Mavericks at 6.
Yep.
So, Kings could easily drop into the play-in if they're not careful. I'd love to play them in the play-in or even first round of finals because they're the only side, or maybe Memphis, that's vulnerable.
Well, Memphis are really vulnerable at the moment with Steven Adams being out. Jared Jackson Jr. is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's at $1.50 if you want to go put money on it. But when Steven Adams is out, they're a totally different team. He brings so much to the table on both ends. His defensive work is amazing. Rebounding and positioning is amazing. His screening work on the offensive end is just exceptional. So he might be a great box score person to watch. Obviously, Snake's probably 8 or so rebounds a game or 9 rebounds a game. But he means so much to their balance and what the risk with Junior is, even though he probably will win Defensive Player of the Year, he fouls so much. His read for the game is still at times so frustrating because he goes after every shot.
Yes.
So which is good from a protection of the ring point of view, but sometimes you leave yourself open to fouls that might not be there, but because you're throwing your body around, it's going to get caught on you.
Yeah, Memphis 4 and 6 of the last 10, so it's the third worst.
And they lost today as well.
Yeah,
again, so.
third worst last 10 games of the West, outside of San Antonio's 0 and 10. But yeah, they could slip away. They've got a little buffer on Clippers 3.5 games, but in 20 games that's not a lot. Obviously, Nuggets sew up seed 1.
Yep.
But yeah, interesting. It's going to be a good title race, even to the play-in. I'll talk about that later because that's in my $100 strategy of the East. So Celtics 1, Bucks 2, 76ers 3, Cavs seed 4, Nets 5, Knicks 6. In the play-in section is Heat, Hawks, Wizards, Raptors, and the Bulls and the Pacers are the only 2 that can make play-in. Your thoughts of the play-in? Does any change happen there?
No, I think the Bulls will keep earning me that slab of Coronas that you promised me at the start of the season. Pacers will probably come back up because Halliburton's come back.
Yep.
He's fit. They're well coached. They've got a good young team. They're fun to watch actually. They're like a little bit of a sneaky league pass team. I don't like watching the Bulls play. Sadly, it's annoying. Raptors are one that I actually was quite successful on betting on the Raptors today.
Yep.
They picked up Jakob Poeltl, who used to play for the Raptors, and he got traded with DeMar DeRozan for the Kawhi Leonard trade back a few years ago when they won the championship. So he's gone back and he's good mates with Pascal Siakam, who's their best player. He had a monster game today, and they haven't had a really big centre on their roster for a couple of years. So they've gone with everyone's 6'8", 6'9", and bar Fred Van Fleet, they're all that same similar size. So they didn't really play with like a traditional centre for a long time. He gets in there. He had 18 and 18 or something in a block. His last 2 games have been amazing since the trade deadline. I think it just freshens them up a little bit, gives them something they didn't have previously. And Scotty Barnes is still he was Rookie of the Year last year, or should have been Rookie of the Year last year.
Yep.
Incredibly talented player. That was Siakam. I'll take them over the Wizards and even the Hawks. Even though the Hawks got rid of their coach this week, they might get the sack the coach bump for the next week or so. But they stink. They stink at the moment, which is good because they beat us in the playoffs a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of Trae Young. But weird that they sacked the coach this late. But they've been stinky for a while. So
very stinky.
It's just a weird decision this late. Why wouldn't they just roll until right at the end, then do it?
Yep. So it's an odd position to go into because then, say Quinn Snyder is the ex-Jazz coach. He was one of the people that is touted to go in there. So you come into a team that's on the fringe of making the playoffs.
Yep.
It's a lot of moving parts. They got some talent. They got some real good talent on that team.
Yep.
Like amazing, but you got to pull it all together. And Trae Young and Millen had a few blues. So I think that's what led to the sacking overall. They had to pick their talented player over their former interim coach.
Is he talented?
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the structure between playing and the playoffs, obviously the Heat and Knicks are going to be the 2 sides that I think fight it out for 6. So that'll be an interesting race. I think they've been very disappointing, the Heat, compared to where they've been. Obviously, Lakers, ever since they played in that championship whip against the Heat, they haven't been the same. So
of these players, of these teams here in the East, in the top 6, who do you see dropping back? Do you see anyone dropping back?
Maybe the Knicks. Heat maybe get hot, but it wouldn't surprise me if it stays the same. Trying to adjust that top 6, maybe the Nets might drop out.
I'd say that, not even speaking through my heart. I think the Nets will regress a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think the Heat and the Knicks will continue to.
But even like look at the top 4, it's 6 games between them. Like that could go either way. That is so stacked as well. There's no clear either side of who's going to win. You could have 7 bets and still miss.
Yep.
That's how tight it is.
Sounds like Saturday.
Yeah, sounds the story of my life. But yeah, interesting. I can't see many changes. But it'll be bloody hot going into that play-in / playoffs, either West and East, where they're going to end up. $100 strategy, Nick. Have you got one for us?
No, I don't.
Oh.
No. I've got a couple of things to look out for. So I mentioned Mikal Bridges over the next few weeks.
Yep.
Have a look at his overs. He'll play big minutes and score. He's a decent scorer. The Raptors I mentioned before, their team harmony, I reckon it's a good little play-in or play-off rush or push they'll pull together.
Yep.
They've got a decent home court advantage generally.
Yep.
And the other one is do not bet on the Utah Jazz. Even if you think they're going to win, they will lose. If you think they're going to lose, they will win.
Yep.
I reckon of the 10 or 15 bets I've put on them this year, every time I've not got one right. So as a PSA to all the punters out there, just stay away from them. Don't just whatever you think and however you're seeing the trend lines, do not follow them. Do not follow your gut. Do not follow analytics. Just don't punt on them.
Yep.
Please.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, they've been deadly with you in the community. When you put a few suggested bets up, it's been quite, I'll say again, stinky.
That is stinky. Senor stinky.
They're, it's frustrating, but that's the beauty of the punt. It's, you're never going to be 100% right.
Yep. What about you with your $100 strategy, big man?
Mate, I'm going to go down well, firstly, I've had money on Denver. That's episode 1.
Yep.
So I'm sitting nicely.
Nice.
Blow my trumpet. Second episode, I went to Mavs. Sitting nicely again. So I can't go the West overall championship. I look at the East. I can't find an edge of who will win it or progress to the final. I think I've got to wait until the brackets come out.
Yeah.
And then you can sort it. And we'll do a podcast just before the playoffs start off, do our brackets talking and provide big bets in that one, guys. So stay tuned for that. That's only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, there's only 22 odd games left, so that's a month and a half.
So that'll be episode 4, so stay tuned to that. But, so don't want to bet in the West anymore. I could go Suns to just really stack it up, but I'm pretty confident in the 2 I've got. So what am I going to do? I've looked around. I think there's a really good bet here, and that's the Lakers to make the play-in at $2. Have 100 on that, double your money. We don't have to wait long to see if we collect. Now, of the remaining games, I have Lakers, I did say 14, now it's 13.
Yep,
because they won today. They'll win the remaining 13, I reckon. If that's the case, I reckon the Blazers win 12 at best, and the Thunder only win 8. And, well, they lost today, so I'm sitting nicely.
Yeah, all right.
If that goes the case, we make the play-in. I was going to suggest them they make the playoff, but I'm worried who they could play round 1, or that one game in the play-in. And
Well, imagine if they played the Grizzlies, like the way it's set up right now.
I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to play the Kings, not obviously the Clippers, the Suns, or the Mavs. They're the 3 I want to stay. Nuggets, I think you can push because they stink it up very late. They only make the Western Conference or just there, and they just bottom straight out.
I reckon now's the time. So I reckon they're a fun one. They're going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah. So $2 to play in. I think that's a good bet to have. If you're risky and got more balls than me, go playoff. But I have
finals. You mean?
Yeah, make the playoffs. So
the finals. What are they playing for the finals?
no, we won't go that far. I'm realistic, and we'll go not far.
Okay.
We'll be competitive.
Cool.
That's the idea, but yeah, you don't want to be competitive. You want to be winning it. Any last thoughts, mate?
No, that's about it, mate. I'm comfortable. I'll blow my own trumpet a little bit. The Banchero Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
That's at $1.10 now. So, for all the times we miss out, there's always good to share the ones that you're confident with. Yeah, so $1.10 on tab at the moment for Rookie of the Year. So I need him to win that and Giannis to win the MVP for a nice little collect as well. But Giannis probably won't win the MVP because Jokic is at $1.35 for that. So no major things. Just keep an eye on Bridges. Watch the Raptors. Do not bet on the Jazz. And go Knicks.
Interesting you say that. I'll end on here. I was speaking to someone from the USA that was out here, talking basketball, talking MVPs, and I said, mate, he was a Denver Nuggets, so I was pissing in his pocket about my betting and how good I was at betting.
He's not an American guy, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we know who we're talking about. Yeah. So shout out to you. You're probably not going to watch, but
no, he's actually a Jazz fan.
Is he? No, his best mate.
His best mate's that's the assistant coach at Denver. Yeah.
That's right. And I said, Jokic. That's I'm fucking thinking of the tennis player for that. I said, surely he is a walk-in for the MVP, and he turned around, and this was 2 weeks ago, and he said, yes, but the way that they do these things, he said an African American will win it, and it'll be Embiid, because they somehow gravitate to it.
Yep.
And he said he was reeling them off when they won it and they shouldn't have.
Yep.
And I won't say White, but other players that were involved were clear favourites to win, and they just didn't get close.
Interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of history around the rarity of getting a three-peat or a three-time in a row.
Yeah.
Well, Larry Bird did it.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, he's white.
Yeah.
Who else did it? I think Russell or Wills. Anyway, so I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a rare. I think it's only happened like 3 times in the 76 years where you win 3 MVPs in a row. So LeBron, like Durant's only won 1. LeBron's only won 3, I think.
Yep.
I think it's still very massive achievement. You get like the what they call like the voter fatigue. So Giannis probably should have won one of the years Jokic won.
Yep.
But that's just the way it goes. So that's why it's a little bit interesting.
Yeah, just sort of bring it up. It was a great chat. I was gobsmacked when he said it, and I said, surely you're taking the piss, mate. And he goes, no. And he just, he explained the fundamentals of how he thought the voting would be and how they think it is. And yeah, it's quite scary that
We'll have to send him this podcast and get an extra review. That'll put us up to 3. So mum, dad, and
your mum and dad.
Yeah.
And son.
And so 4 then.
Yeah.
So we get 4 views.
But yeah, that's the end of the show, guys. Thank you for listening. If you leave us your thoughts where we think we're going to be wrong and you're going to be right, mate. I'd love to hear from anyone more about what you think and how you think it's going to pan out. We'll be back pre-playoffs to talk about the brackets and where we think it will end up. I'm so fascinated, cannot wait to find out the bracketing, so then we can deep dive, and probably my 2 bets will play round 1 and
one will be a live round 2. Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, or listening. You listen on any podcast platform, YouTube, subscribe, like, swipe left, however you do.
And the WhatsApp group if you want to join it as well.
Yeah. We have a WhatsApp group community mainly about horse racing. But if you like your basketball, like your gridiron, like your NRL, come join, come talk about it. We've got a few sickos in there that will punt on anything. Happy to share your bets, your thoughts. There's no right or wrong. It's a good community to start your own platform. Yep. There's no right or wrong. Doesn't matter. I will take the piss out of you if you completely get it wrong. But you can take
get a couple free passes and then the
then you can take the absolute piss out of me when my tip at Moonee Valley runs second last, like it just did.
No, thank you.
And Siri wants to talk to Nick. But thank you for watching, guys, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Toodaloo.